All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is official. Institutions, enterprises, they are now officially going all in on HBAR. And in this video, I am going to provide you guys with the 100% confirmation behind that statement and show you guys that the overall interest in the Hedera ecosystem, the entire network, in HBAR as well, is significantly growing. So with that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. So let's overall look at what's been happening in the last month or so for HBAR, up 545%. As we really look at the volume on HBAR in just the last month alone, it has been absolutely insane. But also, one thing that I really want to put a spotlight on is how this is not retail driven, okay? Yes, retail is a big part of the picture, but also institutions now are looking at this space in a very legitimate way. If we go back to the gainers and losers and we go to the last 30 days in terms of the top 100, look at the first three main ones, outside of course, meme coins and things like that. When we look at HBAR, as we look at XLM, and as we look at XRP, these are three major players in the space that are up 300 to 500% plus in the last 30 days. But the crazy thing is how much volume was behind these three. And we also know that there is confirmation that a lot of the growth on XRP actually was driven by institutions. The same could be said about XLM. But what about HBAR? Because HBAR continues to get overlooked even now. Even though HBAR is up 500% plus, it is still extremely overlooked. So let's talk about this. Let's address first some of the news behind HBAR. Like, for example, BitGet listing HBAR. I did outline this. I addressed it, right? 16.2 million views. Crazy. Incredible engagement, and it is because BitGet is a very large exchange, 4.2 million followers, for an example. It is one of the biggest players out there in the space, and of course, having HBAR on that exchange means more volume, more eyes, and also a great on and off ramp as well. But also, Public just listed HBAR as well, and this is great to see as well. You know, this is one of those regulated exchanges. Essentially, they have a lot of they have a lot of licenses and things like that to support their listings. And like I said, this is definitely a larger exchange. I know that they only have 44,000 followers, but if you actually go over to their website, you look at their engagement, they definitely are supported by a ton of investors. So love to see HBAR getting listed on Public as well. And it's crazy because if we go back to 2022, I think that's when Coinbase actually officially listed HBAR. And now we're starting to see some very big players jumping on board in the middle of a bull run, which is typical behavior of exchanges. But outside of this, let's take a quick look at retail interest around Hedera, because like I said, yes, there is a lot of support from the retail crowd, but also we have to focus on institutions. If we look at this post from the HBAR Foundation, this is overall interest on Google Trends. And yes, we could see that as we look at the Google Trends for Hedera and even HBAR, right? I actually have both of them open up over here. We could see that the Google Trends are just going parabolic. This means that there is a lot of interest around this space now. There's a lot of people looking into HBAR. There's a lot of people looking into XRP, and I can see it firsthand. Just to be completely transparent with you guys, the channel has grown significantly over the last 2 months, and it's very clear that retail is back. There's a lot of fresh faces on the channel. When I go live, there's a lot of individuals in the chat. So as we really look at this, yes, the retail crowd is back in a big way. And they are definitely looking into these projects. And I do think that FOMO is brewing around these projects, even though they're not at new all-time highs just yet in terms of price. And talking more so about that, let's actually address that. So highest volume day for Hedera was printed back on the 3rd. Today marks the single highest volume day on Hashport for all of 2024, and the day's only half done. The Hedera network and ecosystem are absolutely cooking right now, we could actually see $61 million plus in total value bridge to date across Hashport, with 1 million plus today alone. So Hashport already tapped in 61 plus million total, but they added 1 million in a single day. That is crazy. Come see what all the hype is about with the Hedera consensus service and the Hedera token service. When we think about Hedera's growth, guys, you know that I've been talking about HBAR for well over now almost 4 years. And I can't even begin to tell you guys how much I have seen this network, this ecosystem grow in that time period. You know, one thing about having a lot of time in this market is simply realizing what networks will be around for the next 10 plus years and which ones won't. As we look at Hedera, they have solidified their position in this space as a key driver of Web3, a key driver of mass adoption, and ultimately a key driver of DLT being integrated into the global system. And I do believe that Hedera is going to be a player that's going to be around for the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years. We know that Lehman Baird and even Mance Harmon said that, hey, we want this to be a 100 plus year, network. So, I do think that it definitely has the potential to do so. It is, future proof essentially. So it just goes to show you how time in this market really can reshape your overall thought process of some of these projects. And also, if we go over here, this was pretty crazy. This was pretty crazy. In one day, $11.5 billion in 24-hour trading volume for HBAR, crushing all previous records. Big shout out to HBAR Tata for this. And yes, this is historical. This is, I'm telling you guys right now, when we think about how much volume Hedera has had in it over the last month alone, it's been nothing short of incredible. And I really do think that people need to start realizing just how big HBAR is going to be, because I don't think that people are actually ready for this. But on top of this, right, how much money is being driven by retail right now? And is institutions in the driver's seat? In my opinion, I do believe that institutions are here in a very large way. We actually have over here from Tokenizer, it's no longer just retail buying up HBAR. Recently, we got some news of a collaboration with Hedera and Novitech, and this is all regarding ESG. This even involved mentions of SpaceX involvement, but this also involved Novitech buying some HBAR. In fact, they bought a total of 1.5 million HBAR, roughly almost $500,000. This isn't supposed to be seen as some form of absolute whale purchase swallowing up the HBAR supply. Novitech is a tech company, not an asset management giant like Fidelity or BlackRock after all. But as we can see, this is a publicly registered Australian company, aka an enterprise, that now holds HBAR. This is more about the sentiment and implications as opposed to the numbers of HBAR bought. Last cycle even seen firms like Tesla, Nexon, MicroStrategy, and more add Bitcoin to their balance sheet. Now we're seeing a small, mid-sized Australian tech firm add HBAR to their balance sheet. And not only add HBAR, but also partner with Hedera, which is obviously the network behind HBAR. The sentiment is shifting, and it's starting with Hedera. And yes, this is actually a very big deal when we think about some of these, major companies, these asset management companies, all of them here involved looking into these projects. It's very clear on where this space is headed, but also to really kind of confirm the institutional demand of Hedera and the enterprise grade demand of Hedera, Canary Funds recently, was talking about, a few things around the HBAR ETF and why they filed for one. We actually have here, it's simple, true enterprise adoption and South Korean market interest. Check this out.
Well, here's the thing, when we were at Valkyrie, the obvious, we looked at the things that were obvious, right? The things that were, marketable, things like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and even, a couple of others that were, kind of broad market everybody was looking at. And when I took a break before starting Canary, I actually traveled to Tokyo and Korea, part of my old stomping ground from the TradFi world, to see what was happening in crypto over there. Because I don't know if you saw this, Nate, but when it comes to trading pairs, you usually think that, okay, the US dollar is the dominant trading pair for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. But for several points in time, the Korean won is the dominant trading pair. And it actually took over as the dominant trading pair in Q4 of 2023, Q1 of 2024. And I said, look, I've got to get over there on the ground, see what's going on, see what they're looking at. And I already had it in the back of my mind that HBAR was quite interesting because it had real enterprise applications. We've already established that Bitcoin is the king cryptocurrency. But what about enterprise applications, which is really the next step here? And not only was I looking at it from that perspective, big industrial uses, enterprise uses, it's a little bit different than your typical blockchain. But when I was in Korea, I realized that it was a top 5 traded token. And there was also a lot going on there. And by the way, that's also how I got to focus on XRP, because it's another one that's huge in Japan, huge in Korea. And they usually lead the way in technology, those two countries. I mean, that was something I learned from my days in video games, right? Those two countries led the way in video games. They had a version of the iPhone 5 years before we had the iPhone. They were using it for, consumer purposes when we were still on commercial over here back in 2007. So that's really what stuck with me was, okay, HBAR. Nobody else is looking at it. I've got an opportunity to be first if we do something there. So let's go out and lead with one of the leading enterprise blockchains that I don't feel like anybody else is paying attention to.
And he's 100% correct here, right? Being the first through that door with something like as, big as Hedera, right? It's very clear, right? They have that, foot through the door on a project that nobody cares about right now. Nobody's looking at it. Well, at least until recently, I should say, because now there's a lot of eyes on it. But, they realize how early they will be to actually have an HBAR ETF, how big the interest is around HBAR as well. But also, it's very clear that we are starting to see a big shift in this space. I mean, listen, retail is not the driver anymore of this space. We're starting to see the big moves happening. We're starting to see the move happen, in real time for a lot of these great enterprise, institutional focused, chains. And I do think that people need to start realizing that, we are on the edge of regulations. We are most likely going to see regulations happen in 2025. And from that point on, legitimization of this technology, integration and utilization of the tech as well is going to happen. And it's not going to happen on your favorite meme coin. It's not going to happen on Bitcoin. It's not going to happen on Ethereum. It's going to happen on these chains that are extremely efficient, that are, pushing forward the Web3 ecosystem. And it's going to be projects like Hedera. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.